In this lesson, we're going to learn how we can create different animations for loadings. Like you can add it on top of your video, on your website, and just there's a lot of uses for them. And we're going to see how we can make them using the text tool, the pen tool, and the shape tool. So we have 3 examples in this lesson. We have some easy ones and some that are a little bit hard. But we're going to go through them in order so you won't be confused. So let's start with the easiest one. Just make a new composition. Just call it loading. I'm going to go here, and what we want to do is to create our circle. And if you plan on exporting this to use it for yourself, I would suggest making your composition as big as your animation. So let's make one that is not with this width. Let's go for 1080 by 1080. All right, and okay, now we have a square. And delete this. So let's get our circle. Long click on the shape tool and get the ellipse tool. We got the circle, and we're going to make sure the fill is 0 and the stroke. Choose a color that will stand out. Let's choose white, and we want to get a thick stroke. Let's first make our circle. Hold down Shift and then click and drag to make a big circle. And because we added that setting, the anchor point is going to be in the center. But I'm just going to center this with the Align tab. If you're not seeing this, go to Window, Align. Click this, then this, and now this circle is in the center. But 15 pixels is too little. Let's go for like 60. Or even more, let's go for like 80. Want a big circle. Get V on your keyboard. Hit V on your keyboard and hold down Shift while you make this a little smaller so we can see the edges of our composition. Alright, so now that we've made our circle, we are going to open up this shape layer and go to this add place, and we're going to add trim paths. And then we're just going to open this guy up. And before I do that, I'm going to go into ellipse 1, stroke 1, change the line cap from butt cap to round cap. It's going to look better. And then we can continue with the animation. So go to trim paths, and we're going to use these guys. I'm going to start with end, set this to 0. And we're going to turn on the stopwatch. And let's go first determine how much video you want. I don't want it to be too long. Go for like 2 seconds. Hit N on your keyboard to close the work area. So we're going to do this, and then at, let's say, 1 second, we're going to make this, the end stopwatch to 90. So it's going to come around this much. You can also make the gap bigger by putting less. So this was 90, this is 80. You can see it's being removed. I'm going to stick with 90. You can customize this as much as you want, but at the same time, we're going to make the turn on the start stopwatch too. So at the end of our end animation, this was 0, this was 90. We're going to come back around 2 to 3 frames back, and we're going to start the start animation on 0. It's going to be up here, and then go to the end of your composition and add the same value that you added for the end. So 90, hit enter. And we're also going to just grab all of them and hit F9. Let's play this back. So basically we have this. You can see it starts here and then it stops, then it starts again. But this looks a bit odd because it's not really circling, because when you're loading, you want motion. So after we did this, we're going to open up Transform. It's separate from the Contents tab. Open up Transform, and we're going to go in the beginning of our timeline. Set the rotation to 0, and then turn on the stopwatch. go to the end and add 360 or 1 times 0. You can also F9 these two, go from the beginning, and now this is what we have. So this is circling as we have that animation, and it just looks a lot better. Now it doesn't loop. You can see at the end, it reached the end, it like has this awkward cut before it continues and starts over. And if I want to put this somewhere, I need to make sure that it looks decent. So what we're going to do, now that we're done with the animations, and by the way, the line cap that we added is this guy. Let me just show you what it would look like if we didn't change the line cap. So round cap, this is what it would look like with butt cap. You can see it's not that pretty. Just set it to round. And we're just going to pre-compose this shape. So right click and we're just going to hit pre-compose. Just leave that, hit OK. And now this is a composition on its own. And what we want to do is to just see how this guy finishes here. I'm going to cut this guy, Control-Shift-D, delete the rest. But that's just how long our animation is. The rest is just a black screen. Okay, go to the beginning. We're going to go on this guy. Let me call this circle. Go on the circle layer, and then we're going to right click, time, enable time remapping. So we're going to get 2 lines. Because we didn't trim our clip before pre-composing it, the time remapping is going to make a keyframe for the beginning and the end. And if we bring the keyframes closer, we're actually speeding the whole clip up. So as you can see, nothing's changed. It's just really fast. So let me actually just go back to the shape 1 composition, delete this, delete, and I'm going to cut this shape before I continue. Control-Shift-D, delete that. So now we only have 2 seconds of animations. And I'm going to cut the rest because it ends here. So we only want what's in the animation. We don't want the rest. So if we pre-compose this, we have some options here. And just make sure you have adjust composition duration selected. And then the pre-composed layer is also going to be 2 seconds. So we won't have that long 30-second work when we don't even have that much animations to work with. Okay, now that I have this composition, you can see the animation is still there. But we want to add like a looping thing, because if you export this, it's not going to loop like it is right now. This is only happening because we closed the workspace. If we were to export this normally, the work would be longer than, it would be like 30 seconds. And after this animation, we're just going to have a black screen. So what we want to do is to just add a looping effect. So right click on your pre-composed layer. You can just close the old one so you're not confused. Or rename it to circle. Right click, time, enable time remapping. Now the first and the last keyframes are set to the correct times. And if you bring it back, if it was 30 seconds long and you brought the second keyframe back, you're going to speed up the animation. So just make sure that the new composition that you make from the layer is as long as the animation. All right, now that we have this, we're going to hold down Alt or Option if you're on Mac and hit this clock thing. So once we do this, we get this code place. And we're going to go in the expression, time remap, and open this up. Go to property, and then we're going to go to loop out. So once we select this, we get this code thing. And essentially what happens is that this is just going to loop on its own even after we export the footage. So it's not going to have an awkward cut like it would have if we didn't add this looping effect. All right, let's close this up. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and add like a text in the center. Let's write something like loading. Gotta choose the right font. Let's choose a white color first. And just gotta look for something that looks pixelated. I'm not sure if I have a font with me right now. I'm just gonna keep this. Right, and I'm gonna hit V. Click away first, then hit V on my keyboard. Alright, so the anchor point is in a corner, but it's not going to bother us that much because we're not going to animate the text. But instead go to align and just make sure this guy is in the center. And now if we hit play, we're just gonna have this text and this loading thing. This loading animation. So that was the easiest one. You can see it didn't even take that long. You can export this. And if you plan on using this on a video, like your YouTube video, make sure you have black as your background color. When you first create a composition, let me just show you. Choose a background color here, and the reason why we chose black is because we can easily change the blending mode like we learned in previous lessons. So make sure it's black, so you can just change the blending mode to screen and you would have the animation. But this would also mean that the animation or the text you're adding is completely visible and separated from the background. That's why it's a good idea to use black and white, because black is easily differentiated from white, and that way we won't have a problem when we're adding the blending mode. Alright, so now that we learned how to do the easiest one, let's go ahead and go for level 2. I'm gonna delete both of these guys. Create a new composition like we did, but instead we're going to leave the width to 1920. We want a rectangle now. Just type that in, and we're going to look at our second example. Let's grab the pen tool right here, and you can create a solid. I'm going to go for a white solid because we already did the color black. So just make a solid, color white, and okay. I'm going to lock this in place so I don't move it around or draw anything or add an effect to it. And we're just going to hit, I'm going to go to the title action save, which is in this box. This is going to help us kind of center our pen drawing. Again, make sure fill is 0, stroke. I'm going to choose a really large number, like 120. Also, we're going to choose the color black because we added white here. And we're going to make a click here, align it with this line. You can also hit Control R to drag a ruler here. So make your click. Make sure you're not selecting the white solid. Make a click here. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and then go on the other end here. So we have this big line. I accidentally made 2. Let's delete that, hit backspace, and just drag this guy upwards to where the line begins. And bring it down here. We have to go on the other side and make sure it's the same. Grab the hand tool to move around. Yeah, you can see it's kind of crooked here as well. Hit V. You can make the box as big or as small as you want it. You just need to increase the stroke width of the pen stroke. Alright, so we have this giant box. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller just because I plan on putting this outline box. So I want to make sure that it's going to fit in perfectly. Okay, so we made this, and we are going to first of all get rid of this. Turn this off. Just click on it. And also we're going to get rid of the ruler. Control R again to get rid of it. Click away. This is the bar that we have. Alright, so we're going to again add trim paths to the sky. So open up shape layer 1, let's name it bar. Open up bar, and we're going to add trim paths. There we are. And then we're going to open the sky up, go in the beginning, maybe like a few seconds forward. First, I'm going to determine how long the composition needs to be. And by the way, if you are creating a composition, you can also change and determine the time when this box appears. Instead of 30 seconds, you can put like 5 or 2, however much you want. I'm gonna go for 3 seconds. And then I have to remember to crop the rest so I don't get extra lines. Going around maybe 15 seconds in, going to come down to the end stopwatch. We're going to hit 0 and then hit, alright, that was start, hit 0 on end, turn on the stopwatch, go towards the end of your composition and make it 100. Then select both, F9, come from the start, and basically this is what we have. The bar just getting bigger. If you want it to be faster, you could obviously just bring this guy in. Oops. Click away and click one of them. And we're going to get a faster progress bar. There we are. And we're just going to go in the graph editor. I'm going to select them. This is the graph editor, by the way. Click it, and what we're going to do is to just kind of bring this guy up like this. And I'm going to click that away, and now we have something like this. So it's like slow in the beginning and it goes fast near the end. So it's like it was laggy in the beginning and then it goes faster. This is optional. You can totally skip this if you want. We're also going to turn on this motion blur thing. Turn it on and it's going to load a little. And then we have this kind of a blur effect in the edge of the shape when it's moving fast. And you can again go into graph editor. Let's bring this in forward a bit so it's a bit faster. I'm just playing around to see what speed is nice for me. Let's go in like this. I guess I'll go with this. Click away. And now that we have this guy, we are going to draw in the holder that we mentioned. So I'm going to come to the end where I can see the full shape. Get the rectangle tool, long click on the shape tool, get rectangle, and we're just going to draw this without holding down shift. So, whoops. Before that, I'm just going to adjust my stroke width, click away from the bar shape. These need to be separate, so go for a really small number. Let's go for 4. You can change the color if you want. Choose one corner and try to get an accurate size. Let's have a look. And I'm going to go in the end and make sure it's equal. Click away. And yeah, it looks nice. All right, so we have this holder now. And we're not going to do anything for the holder because it's just a number. It's just a box that is usually there before the progress bar even activates. And now we're going to make a text layer, which will be the number. So hit T, as in click the T, and we're just going to add a text here. But we're going to leave it empty because the number is going to go with the speed of the progress bar, and therefore we need to do some coding and add some effects for it to kind of do it on itself. as in start from 0 and then go to 100 in the same speed of the progress bar. So we're just adding an empty text bar. And because there's effects for this, we can easily just make that happen. So go to Effects and Presets, and we're going to search for Slider Control. So we're going to add the Slider Control effect on the text layer, just like that. And we're going to open up text and then the effects as well. Slider Control, open that up. We have the slider box here. And we're going to open up text as well. We're going to Alt-click on Source Text on the stopwatch, actually. And we have this pick whip on the expression source text. Just expand this so we can see things. We're going to grab this pick whip and put it on slider. Not slider control or anything else, just this guy. And now it added this text on its own. But we're also going to go in the beginning and we're going to type math.round and then parentheses. And we're going to come to the end and add another parentheses. Okay, make sure you delete that. So math, capital M, dot round, parentheses, and then parentheses. So don't touch the stuff in the middle. We're just adding this math round, and then we are adding the code that was already in there to parentheses. And then we're going to set the slider to 0 as well. All right, and once we play this, whoops, click away. And I believe our text is actually white. Let's go to character. Yeah, let's add a black color. Okay. So right now we have this text, but we need to add the slider keyframe. So start from 0, the beginning of your timeline, turn on the stopwatch, come towards the end where the bar is complete, and set this to 100. All right, so we have this bar just coming in, and going to come open up my bar layer, see where the thing starts. So it starts from here. I can easily just drag this guy here. 0. Go from the beginning. This way I make sure that the numbers start together. And if you wanted to start from the beginning, just move the first 2 keyframes, the slider keyframe and the trim paths keyframe, the first ones, to the beginning of the text. So that would mean you drag this guy, put it in the beginning, then come down to this guy as well and put it here, if you wanted to begin from the start. Right, so we have this, it's loading. Let it render, and this is our animation. You can always just hit the text layer. Let me hit M on that, and on bar to close this. I'm going to call this holder. But don't rename the text layer, leave it be. Just grab it, get the selection tool or hit V, and adjust this to any place that you want. Then come to the end of your thing, composition where you can see the 100. And this way you know what the full number will look like. And we're going to add a new text layer. Click away, new text layer, and we're going to type in %. Bring that next to this, Control R, and click away, Control R. I'm going to bring this here so I can make sure they're on the same line. The % can go a little bit down. Use your down arrow key to move it down, like with 1 pixel. Let me bring back my timeline, adjust this, and now we have this % that is there, like so. Okay, so we did this, and what we can do now, let me first close this. is to add motion blur to every layer. So just turn on this guy on essentially everything except the white solid. And we're going to have a nice little effect. Let this load, and we can see that the percent is not really moving with the number. There is a code for that, but we're going to use the code for the third example. So in this one, you can try this method, which is to just add a position keyframe and make 3 keyframes for the movements. First, we're going to move this next to the 0, turn on the stopwatch, and just go in frame by frame until it becomes 2 digits. This is optional, by the way, you don't have to do this. So when it comes here, we know that we need to move the X of this a bit to the right. So it's 0, 100, 10, and then 2 digits. Then come in the end where it becomes 3 digits. And come back a frame. So when it's 98, add a keyframe. Go to the next frame, and we're just going to move this to the right. Alright, let's grab them all, F9. So it's 0, like that. And then it moves in like that. And I'm just going to expand this because we're not seeing the 100. There we are, now we're seeing the 100. Hit M on this guy. Gonna grab all of the layers. I just unlocked that so I can crop it. Control-Shift-D and delete the rest. So we only have the animation. There we are. And you can totally just grab all of these layers and just bring them down using the down arrow key. Just place it in the center. And oops, we can't do that with the position. Let's undo that. Bring it back into position. Bring it back to where it was because we added a position keyframe for the percent. You can just do the repositioning before you add the position keyframe for the percent, because then you have to do this all over again. I'm just gonna leave this like this. So this is what we made. It's really simple. And again, because it has a solid background with contrasting colors, like black and white, we can easily export this and add this onto a video by changing the blending mode of this as well. So now that we've done this, you can also just make these white and change the solid to black. But this was basically how you do another thing. You don't really need to loop this because once the progress bar comes to the end, it needs to start again. And so basically when it reaches the end, your video would have started. And yeah, so there's no need to add a looping video, but if you did want to add the looping video, you can simply just pre-compose this like we did. Let's just do that real quick. We're going to select all of these guys, pre-compose, adjust this, make sure this is on, hit OK. And now we have this in a separate composition where we can easily right-click, time, enable time remapping. Again, you can see it's set to the end. There we are. So our composition, the previous one, was long, but because we have our workspace here, the remapping is going to adjust itself like this. And again, Alt or Option on the stopwatch. I'm going to add this play button thing, go to Property, and go to Loop Out, so it becomes a cycle. Click away. And it's going to be a looping video that you can easily export and use it for whatever you need to use it for. All right, now let's move on to the third example, which is a little bit difficult, but we're going to get through it. So just go to your project, and I'm going to delete all of these guys, backspace. All right, let's make our new composition. We're going to make a square like we did with the first example. And I'm going to choose the color black. Now we have this guy. All right, so what we want to do here is to first, we're going to make a line. So get the rectangle tool. This time we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to click on stroke, set it to none. Instead, we're going to go in fill and add, I guess, a white color. Let's zoom in. And I'm just going to make this tiny little bar, like so. All right. Let me actually make it the other way. Delete that. Make a tiny little bar. And there we are. So this is what we have. And you don't need to reposition it, but instead we're going to go in the shape layer. Let me call this loader. Open up the shape layer, get add, and we're going to add something else. We're going to add a repeater this time. So this is going to repeat this thing. And open up the repeater one and change the copies, which is the number of these guys, to a high number. I would say like maybe 70, just more than 50, basically. Choose any number. And we're going to also just go to the transform repeater one and change the rotation. Let me actually go for set the copies to 60. I think 70 is too much. Then we're going to add the repeater transform thing to the rotation to 6%. So it's slowly getting up. We're not seeing the rest because it's out of frame. And we're going to set the position instead of 100, 0 to 0, 0. Now we have this ball where all of those lines are together in the form of a circle. Now we're going to go to rectangle 1 up here, and we're going to change the position of rectangle 1. Open up transform rectangle 1. We're going to set it to more than 300. So like 350. You can make this big or small. I guess I'll go for maybe 413. The more you expand, the further these guys will be spaced. So just choose anything you want. And this was our original bar. We just repeated the thing with the repeater animation. And we just adjusted those using the options that are available. Alright, and then we're going to go to transform repeater 1. This was transform rectangle 1. Let me close contents. Let me actually make this bigger. So contents, go to transform repeater 1. And we're going to set the offset of this guy, repeater 1, to 0. It already is. And come in the beginning of your animation. I forgot to readjust the time of this again, so just adjust it. Let's go for 2 seconds. All right, got 2 seconds. Go in the beginning of your timeline and turn on the offset keyframe. Come to the end and add 100. So let me make this a little bigger so we can see what's going on. And then we're going to hold down Alt or Option on Mac and hit Offset so we can get this guy. And we're going to do the same thing we did so far. So we're going to add math round, big M, math.round, open parentheses, get rid of the second one, and then finish, as in close the parentheses on the end. So I'm going to click away and come down here. This is what we have so far. It's like this little circle thingy. And what we're going to do now is just add the text. Close this. Let's add like a loading text. So just get the text tool and just type in loading. Again, it would help if you have a kind of a pixelated game-like font. Just gonna use what I have and align it in the center. Just hit this, then this, and then we're going to add another text layer. Click away. Add a %. All right. And I'm going to center this too. Then I'm just going to bring this guy, use my down arrow key to move it down a little, like that. And now we're going to just link the text, this dude, the % text. Let me open this guy up. All right, I forgot to mention something. After we've done this, come down to Transform Repeater 1, the loader shape layer. Change the start opacity. Instead of 100, set it to 0. So we have this fading effect. And now if we hit play, we're getting the rotation. We were getting the rotation before, but the thing is that because we didn't have a fading effect, we couldn't tell that it was rotating. So don't forget to set the start opacity to 0. And basically it means that the start from after our original shape, which is this, it's going to be 0. And then as it reaches the end, it's going to be 100. So that's what that did. Let's close this so I can see my timeline. Move this guy down. And let me just close these guys real quick. And then we're going to get the text. And I'm going to set this, instead of a %, let's set it to 30. So I can get a look of what my thing looks like, my text is going to look like. Adjust the size. And we're going to go to the Align tab and just center it vertically. Hit V, and we're going to link the % text to the shape. So hit U on the loader shape. Grab this pick whip, and we're going to put this on the loader. And then we're going to open up this 30% text thing. Open text, and we're going to alt click or option click on the source text. Again, we have this. So we're going to link this guy to the offset as well. Come down here, link it to offset. And what we want to do is to go in this code place again. Go in the beginning, write 2 quotation marks, and then we're going to hit space, add plus, and then just leave the text as it is. Come to the end, add another plus, so add a space here. Add another space plus, and then we're going to hit space, quotation mark, add a % in between the 2 quotation marks. All right, so we have this. Let's close this, and basically we have this guy. So it's loading pretty quickly because we set our composition to 2 seconds. So it's trying to do everything in those 2 seconds. And obviously, if you want it to be really slow, all you have to do is to just increase your workspace before you do this to like maybe 10 seconds, 8 seconds, and expand your timeline too. Or you could just expand your offset. You can see it's going really slow now because I expanded it instead of 2 seconds to 10 seconds. So just go to your loader offset because everything else is linked to that. And just get the end keyframe and just change the number. Let's go for maybe 4 seconds. Bring this guy back here. All right. It's come in the beginning, and now we have this cool little thing. And we could have done the percent thing for the first example, I believe, I think that was the second example, where we had to manually position the percentage. But you could just add the code that we added for this one onto that too, so we don't have to do the repositioning of the percent text. All right, and now I'm just going to reposition the loading, as in bring it up a little. Click it and just bring it up a few bits. I'm going to hit Control R. Or actually, let's get the action safe so I can get a ruler in the center. So my loading is placed nicely. I'm just going to bring my 30% text and bring it up. Bring loading up here, and now it just looks better. We have this guy just doing its thing. And let me see. What else can we do? Making sure that everything is centered. I'm gonna bring loading down a little bit. Play that back. Alright. Now let's pre-compose this and loop this. I'm showing the looping thing 3 times because it's really important, and when you're dealing with motion graphics, you definitely want to do this with your work, so I'm showing it over and over again so you guys remember how to loop a video. Select all of your layers, right click, pre-compose, and before that let me just cut the rest of these guys, Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D. So we only have 4 seconds of our work. We hit M on this, right click, pre-compose, adjust composition, move all attributes, hit OK. Now our pre-comp 1 is also 4 seconds. Go in the beginning, right click, time, enable time remapping, and then we're just gonna hit hold down Alt or Option, and just click on the stopwatch. Get this play button thing, property, loop out. So the reason why it's loop out is because we wanted to loop after it finished. So it's loop out, not loop in. There's nothing going on in the beginning. And now we just have a looping effect. And if I increase this, you can see that it's still looping even though we're out of this. So maybe if your video has maybe a 16-second loading time, by adding this looping effect, it's going to just keep looping. Even after this reaches 100, starts all over again. So yeah, although it's not really reaching 100, let's go to comp 1. In pre-comp 1, sorry. And I'm just going to expand this guy. Let's open loader, hit view. And you can see the keyframe is kind of out, so just bring it in like this so we can see the 100. There it is. All right, now we can go ahead and make this into a pre-comp. Okay. And do the remapping again. And then Alt click, expression, property, loop out, click away. And now we have a looping effect. It's looking pretty nice. And let me just make a new composition. Change this to red and set it to 30 seconds. So I want to bring in my comp 1. You can see we have this on top of a screen. And the reason why we're not seeing the black is because in the comp, we don't really have a black solid. So if I make a black solid, just showing you how this would work if you want to put it on a video. So export it with a black solid underneath, bring it down. Let's pre-comp this. Let's call it something else. Final. Hit OK. Go to the red composition. Delete this. And grab final and put it in. So it's black right now. Toggle switches and modes. Go to mode and change it to screen. So it won't work here. We have to show this. Let me get another solid. Just a red color. There we are. So set the solid underneath. Let's pretend this is the video. And we have this loading thing on top of our video, and it's going to be like that. Alright, so I have this. If this is my video, I can just go ahead and rescale my animation. Maybe in the corner of my video. It's still going to do its thing. So it's going to load to 100. I don't want it to loop, so let's say after 100, your video starts, something happens. And yeah, we could also, because it's a separate layer right now, let's make it big again. Go in the beginning, hit S, 0, turn on the stopwatch, come in a few frames, 130. Next frame, 100. F9, the keyframes. You could add something like this. Optional, but you can just play around with this. Let's let it go towards the end. Expand your timeline if you need to. Going on this frame. Hit this, add a keyframe, and then we're going to again make it 130. And then in the end, we're going to make it 0. So it's like it loaded, and we can now see our video. So it appears like this, does its loading thing. Then it just disappears, and then the video below would start, or you could start your other animations. So these were 3 different loading animations that you could do to kind of add a nice thing to your clips. You can add these on your YouTube videos or within your animations. Maybe in your animation there's like a phone and you want to add a loading screen. This is how you would do it. And we already learned how to export things. So if you want to use it for more than one purpose, we can just export the video with the black screen. So you could always have it on your computer. That way you would only just import the footage and then change the blending mode to screen like we saw in the video editing lessons. And yeah, so this is how you could do it. Really simple. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you guys in the next one.